Hi everybody. So if you're not aware, it's International Women's Day. Every year I celebrate International Women's Day and International Men's Day, and I make a post on social media for International Women's Day and International Men's Day, or I'll just do something in my real life and I won't post on social media. But I'm going to educate you a little bit. So this beautiful indigenous woman, her name in English would be Redbird. The name the white people gave her was Gertrude Simmons. But her Lakota name is Zitkála-Šá. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but Zitkála-Šá. This beautiful, amazing indigenous woman, she was born in 1876 and died in 1938. She was a writer, a musician, and an activist. And what stood out about her, for me, she advocated for both men and women. She really knew what the spirit of equality was actually about. She was a strong force against the forced assimilation of indigenous peoples. She wrote about Indian boarding schools and the abuses that happened there very bravely in a time where that would probably get her hunted or just pretty much ignored. She wrote about how indigenous children were stripped of their language and their human dignity and rights, and how some of them died in these schools. She was part of the suffrage movement. She worked alongside the National Council of American Indians, which, by the way, she co-founded that whole thing so that she could then advocate for women's rights and Native American or indigenous sovereignty. And when she found out that the suffrages or the suffragettes or whatever you want to call them were not doing their full job for equality, as in they stopped fighting after white women got the right to vote, but she went on to fight so that indigenous men and women had the right to vote and were labeled as citizens. And she dealt with so much racism and discrimination from the other suffragists while she was a suffragette. It's crazy. She had major influence on the Indian Citizenship Act of 1924. She fought not just for her people and not just for women's rights. She fought for equality for all in a time that was very, very dangerous for someone like her. And this is a perfect time for me to talk about it's still dangerous for women like her, because there are so many missing and murdered indigenous women. And let me just say this, because I'm all about equality. There's a lot of missing and murdered indigenous people in general, men and women, and they get way less coverage in the media than they should. Perfect time for me to bring it up. Did you know that missing white people get media coverage 60 to 70% more than missing indigenous people or black people, even though there are more indigenous and black people missing? That's called missing white woman syndrome. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.